Hi, everyone, and welcome. I just purchased this Herbal Astrology Pocket Oracle book, and I don't have the bigger version. I only have this one. It seems to have a lot of information. Some of the type is a little bit teeny, but there's lots here. And I thought before I unwrap the cards, they're still here in the box. I haven't touched those. I'm just going to sort of look through my decks and see what I have for astrology decks, but also then what I can tap into for herbal astrology. Because if you've got decks that cover herbs, flowers, and you want to tap into that magical energy and you want to follow the planets and the zodiac signs and really boost that power for whatever you're working on, I thought, why don't I just look through some of the decks that I have and maybe it can all sort of come together eventually because I do have plant decks, I do have herbal oracles, and I just think it's just time to bring it all together. And I do collect my own herbs and my own plants, and that's always better because your energy's already gone into it and you've, grown it, nurtured it, loved it, and you get the brilliant colors. And it's always better to work with something natural. So there's been no pesticides or anything put on my plants. And I want to bring that energy in. I've always been one to sort of chart some of the plants that I'm growing and what they're great for. And gosh, it's just darn fun to even have it in all the little jars, pretty labeled and ready to go. So I'm just going to step back a bit from opening this, as I say, and let's take a look at some of the astrology type decks that I have. This was one of my first ones, the Astro Tarot, and it is German. And it did come with a book, but being that there was no English translations, it was a little bit difficult for me, but I loved the images. And this is a good size deck. There are the backs, which really brings in that wheel, the zodiac wheel. Really great, fantastic cardstock. And these are some of the images inside. So what I did was wherever they had the zodiac symbols or the planetary influences, I just went around each of the cards and added in what I needed to sort of help me through. And I did make a booklet as I read with it to see if I couldn't get it talking, but I don't think I've spent enough time with it or the study of the planets and the zodiacs. I think I need to go a little bit deeper into that. But the images are quite lovely. Some are quite strong. So if I want to go into, they call it herbal astrology, then I could look to this one for information on definitely the houses that are influencing, the planets that are influencing. Just one more thing I can add to my kit. So that's my first one. I think this was my second one. And probably lots of people have seen this one. It's very pretty. The book is not that large for information. And you are getting 22 cards in it. So this is what they look like. So if I was going to do some herbal astrology and I wanted to bring in the planetary energies, I could certainly use this on my altar or when I was journaling. And it too has really good cardstock. And I like the natural colors in the background of that one. So, as I say, it is beautifully gilded. And it does have each of the houses, the zodiac symbols, and they are very pretty to look at. So that's another one I could tap into. I think my third astrology type deck is this one that I just received in the last month, the Cosmic Magic Oracle. It does have a good size book. And I do like the cards. Now, I did make some notes with this because it's a lot to take in. So this one gave me the zodiac signs all the way through. It does talk about the elements. It brings in the 4 elements, the planets, and the asteroids. And there is a fortune card in here too when you're working with astrology and trying to find insights. So these are all the houses. And then we moved on to the elements. So if I was working with a certain plant in a certain month, I could also bring in the elements. It's got the 4 there. They're a little bit stuck together. And, oh, there they are, air and water. Oh. Okay, so then we had the planets. And I like how the constellations appear in them as well with keywords. And they too are a good card stock. So this is another one, and it does bring in flowers. And it tells you in the book what flowers are being presented. And it brings in, as I say, the asteroids too. If you wanted to work with that, there's your part of fortune, prosperity card. The nodes, it really brings those in. And when I was looking through it, it talked about the north node being the destiny and fate. It really did give a lot of information. So that's my third one that I have. Now the other ones are just decks that I can use for herbal information. This was a nice one. I did do a complete review on this one. And I did quite enjoy the cards. The idea of them looking like that they were dried and put in a beautiful book or as a keepsake book. And it did have lots of information about working with the plant, doing your magic. So that was, I mean, it's quite inviting. It's very pretty. And the backs are really gorgeous. So all of these decks so far have really good card stock. So they would stand up nicely on an altar. Just going to pause for a second and move a few of these decks out of the way. I'm sure lots of people would have this one, the Druid Plant Oracle. No, it's not going into astrology, but it does have, it's a big gift box set. And the book is really good. Lots of information in it. And again, you can see what you're working with, whether it's upright, reversed, the energy that you're working with, the meanings. The flower of life and death is the poppy. So, you know, it's cardstock, not fantastic, but okay. But the images and the color, wow, so pretty. And I love that they're all sort of earthy colors. And you do get the tree energy in here as well. Some wildflowers. So this would be another one that I could tap into for information on the plants and bring that to my altar for some magic as well. Now, there's another one here. that's probably quite popular. Remember this one, the Herb Crafter's Tarot. Really, really pretty deck as well. And it gives you exercises to work through. So no, it doesn't have astrology, but it has crafting with the energies, the elements, and the plant. So then you just have to bring in the planets as well. And that cardstock was really good. The back's beautiful, and the images very inviting. Grab a few of those so we can look through them. Echinacea, very healing. Licorice plant. And again, really, really pretty images to work with on the altar. And I believe its book, as I said, had lots of information for you. So that's another pretty one. And then this one is interesting because it does give information on the plants. It has keywords for it, and it has dragons as a bonus. But the backs are a little bit simple compared to the other ones. Cardstock, fantastic. And there you have the keyword, and the hawthorn is being tapped into here. And again, a very, very pretty deck to work with. So botanicals, herbals, plants, flowers, energy. So that one was another one I could use. And then I had this one, very inexpensive. And I can't remember the site I got it off of, but it does promote a lot of cards. And the images, I think Baba Studio, I have it upstairs with the really fancy edition. But you know, for a few bucks that I paid for this, I can tap into the energy of the lily. And there's some keywords there for me. There was no booklet with this one though. And the cardstock is, again, pretty darn good. And the back's so, so pretty. So, again, it's the language of flowers and bringing that to your work. Okay, so that was that one. I did recently show this one, Mother Nature Oracle cards. Not great cardstock though, and I did add my cheat sheets down below. But it was inexpensive, and it did bring in plants and herbs with keywords. But a very, very tiny book with that one. But if you have language of flower type books, you can certainly boost your learning abilities with those. This one, I haven't used it that much, and it is so darn pretty. The little booklet, gorgeous. And you can see there, if you want to work with the morning glory, you've got its symbolism, some beautiful paragraphs, and information for inspiration. Not colored, but the cards are. And this one did come with the language of flowers sheet inside it. And the cards are very antique-y. So there's your iris. Again, lots of beautiful pictures, and then that's your starting point for working your magic and bringing in planets and astrology. Okay, so there's that. I think I'm just about down there now. Oops, again I did it. Not enough room. Okay, and the last one is this dragon one. So it comes with a beautiful book. I showed this once before. But you know, if you want to look into the blueberry plant and use this, if you're into more animated and fun type things, you know, you could bring the dragon energy in, and that's the backs. And it does have really good cardstock. I like that. And, you know, you've got fruits. It's just to die for. It's a gorgeous little deck. And I think it would bring a fun energy to any spell work that you are doing with your herbs and plants. And its booklet, pretty darn good. So there's your honey dragon. It gives you the appearances, the habits, and you can see field notes and mystical meanings there. But you know, if you didn't want to be super, super serious, but still get the work done and have fun, this is a great little deck. So I'm sure everybody else has lots of herb type decks out there. So this was the start to get me into this. So in the next video, I'm going to open this up and we'll get to see each of the cards in here and talk a little bit more about how it suggests that we should use it. It does have moon cycles. There's the back. And maybe in a couple days I'll bring this out, and by then you too have gone through your, collection and seen what you have to make all this happen and dive into really studying plants, their energies, their powers, and bringing the planets and the zodiacs in as well. I think it's quite the challenge and learning experience. Unless there's someone out there who has a ton of information they can share with us, that would be most helpful before we go forward. So those are some of my herb decks that I'll be using to get me into herbal astrology. And if you have the bigger deck, are you enjoying it? Have you been able to work some magic with all that it talks about? Let me know. Cheers, everyone.